Folks, welcome back again to Ohio State football with Scarlet and Great. Brandon Moses Part 2. We're going to jump and talk to you about the defensive side of the football coming up in the 2023 season. It's always great to talk Buckeye football. We have a lot of unknowns that we, again, want to unpack and go through to see just how good that silver bullet defense should be this upcoming season. B. Moses, thanks for coming back on. Now we have to switch gears, getting right into it. All right, a hot topic, probably less divisive than the Kyle McCord topic, but still, I just feel like we're all going with the defense. So the defensive side of the ball, Brandon, just I'll say last year I went from snap one, I saw a difference. I really did. I saw great improvement. Now, as the teams got better, it was just boom and bust then. As the teams got better, it was like, it looks in a way as bad as it ever did, but it also, nothing was as bad as it was under the Coombs years. So, I guess that's attributed to just some simple playmaking mistakes and things like that. So, am I wrong to say the defense actually showed huge leaps and bounds last year, but anything would have been better than what we were used to seeing? So you have to kind of to balance all of that and take it with a grain of salt.
Yes, I don't have any issues with that at all. I'm with you, man. It was this debate or topic has been frustrating. And just going back, I'm one of those guys I go back and watch all the games, sometimes 2 or 3 times. Even the scum game. I lost count on how many times I watched that game. And I know some people were like, "You crazy, you're a glutton for punishment," but that's just who I am. I have to understand what really happened, not just off of emotions. With that said, yes, there was definitely improvements. Even against Notre Dame, like you said, in snap one, I saw a much more active defense, firing off the ball. But again, we saw some mistakes. And I'll say this. The difference to me between, the 2021 season with Combs and last year, to me in 2021, we looked more lost, like we actually didn't know our assignments, right? To this year, last year, the following year, you saw improvement in that area to where they looked like they actually knew what they were doing. But because of maybe the aggressiveness of the play call coupled with maybe a player on an island that couldn't quite handle the assignment, I think that's different than actually being lost and not knowing what your assignment is. So I'll stop right there. I got a lot to say about this, so I'm going to stop right there and let you jump in. But I agree with you on the improvement on the defense. And statistically, the defense improved. So, that's a fact as far as that goes.
Yeah, I remember saying the same thing after I was in the student section of the Notre Dame game. So Notre Dame was driving towards me, so the defense had the back towards me, and I could see the whole field. And it was just, I saw exactly what you saw from the first few snaps. It was, pre-snap, it looks like there's no glaring weakness. It looks like everybody on the defense is aware, at least, of where all the offensive players are and what their assignment is. And then even though there was a missed tackle and a big play on that first series, we held them out. You remember, we held them in the red zone. And I was like, I've seen enough. I know we are better. Now, granted, once again, it was so bad that just, so you look at that scum game, you look, Cam Martinez doesn't, miss a routine tackle, or not Cam Brown doesn't make a routine tackle. Then Cam Martinez doesn't get turned around. Latham doesn't trip, and Tommy Eichenberg picks the right gap on just one of those huge Donovan Edwards runs. If that was the case, I'm not real sure. I'm not a coach, but we just had no one home there. It's a completely different ball game. People are like, "You guys didn't think JJ could make the deep throw." I'm like, no, I thought he could make those 13 throws that he made. those super simple 13 throws that he made. Yeah, I always knew he could do that. It was I didn't know we'd make it so easy on him. That's what I like. Don't act like you picked us apart. So before we unpack the different layers, young studs coming up on defense. Do you think this is a case where I think a lot of people are just screaming? People that don't watch practice are just screaming. CJ Hicks and Sonny Styles just gotta, you gotta get them in the game a lot and maybe even start them. I don't know. I don't watch practice. So where do you fall? Do you think we have young studs start to emerge and kind of do a lot of rep splitting?
Yeah, I do. And listen, I know Sonny Styles and CJ Hicks are the fan favorite, go tos as far as they need to start kick Eichenberg and Chambers out so they can play. You know what I mean? But so those two for sure. I do think Sonny is going to have a big role. I don't think that's just media talk. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
real and legit. CJ Hicks, I do see him flashing and making some plays in garbage time, which will get him in a rotation, at least some down the stretch. To me, he reminds me of Jerome Baker with his speed and sideline to sideline, his size. But I see this. There's two that come to my mind right now as far as young studs. I don't think there's enough talk about Caden Curry. I think he can be really good in that rotation coming off the edge. And then Kai Stokes. I think Kai Stokes can be really good back there. He needs to improve a little bit on run support. But the weight room and another year in the defense, I think, can help with that. But that's two. Now, let me ask you, is Igbinosun, is he considered a young stud in your eyes? Is he, because he was a freshman last year at Ole Miss, right?
I kind of give everybody that hasn't played yet the
Young stud.
young tag. You know what I mean? Unless they're grad transfer. So yeah, I'll give you that.
Okay, so yeah, that's another one. I mean, I know that's been a common name as well. So it's not like I'm breaking any news, but I mean that's huge for us to be able to acquire him with how young he is and how he's been showing out in camp. His size, his length, that's going to be tremendous for this defense. Tremendous. I sound like Trump. It's going to be tremendous. Anyway, yes, young stud. And then I haven't really seen enough or heard enough about Jahad Carter, especially with his injury he had in spring. So, but those are the three that I'll say off the top. I can go further, but I don't want to, go too far.
Yeah. Where do you stand with guys like Tylenol Williams and Mike Hall, who can be game wreckers? And we haven't seen game wreckers. We didn't see game wreckers last year on the starting lineup at defensive tackle. You think those guys can get assignment football down enough to where they make a disturbing cause in the middle?
You nailed it. You nailed it. Everything we heard last year about any deficiencies with their game was exactly that, was assignment football discipline, not basically doing your own thing when we need you to hold this gap on this particular play. That was the big thing we've heard about Tyleek Williams. Well, actually, both of them, Mike Hall and Tyleek, but Tyleek, he seemed to be more of a consistency, up here mindset, consistent mindset, even dropping the weight, which he did last year. But I think if they shore that up and mature in those areas, absolutely, they got more talent than anybody in the country. And Mike Hall just needs to stay healthy. That's another big thing about him, his health. He was more dinged up than we thought last year. So if they can just simply take another step in the maturity of consistency, I think they can be potentially All-American caliber type kids. They got the talent.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. All right, Brandon. It's all wrapped up though in this one thing, and that is my fellow coffee drinker, my fellow coffee fiend, Mr. Jim Knowles. Jim Knowles, is he a kingmaker, or is he just another vegan? Is he just another vegan who cannot make these guys just go from high school phenoms to some of the baddest dudes on the planet, or do we even know yet?
Okay. So you're hilarious, by the way. Um, all right. So yes, let's dive in. Let's dive in. Okay. So this is how I see it. On one hand, um, Jim Knowles has the side eye from me and a lot of Buckeye fans to say, okay, now, are you going to learn your lessons from last year with being over aggressive in certain spots where you didn't necessarily have to? Maybe trusting players that we found out weren't that talented or as talented as they were projected to be. Are you going to learn from that and be able to better balance your approach and understanding your personnel? Because I do feel like that was a big part of some of the issues we had is some of the things he would dial up mixed with the lack of talent in some areas. But with that said, you look at his track record, you look at Duke, you look at Oklahoma State, you see the defense is improving year to year to year, right? And especially with Oklahoma State, they were like number 2 and top 5 in the country in a lot of areas. So we see the track record of improvement. But like you specifically said, Johnny, can he take high school phenoms like he has, the access to at Ohio State now that he didn't have access to it at other schools? Can he take them and do likewise? That's the big question. So I do think it's too early to judge and say he can't. It's 1 year in the system, okay? And then, year 2, we do have some young studs that are projected to be a little better, like a Sonny Styles. I do think some of these kids will instantly improve some of these spots. So I do think we're going to see an improvement in the defense. And the question is how great of an improvement, because we know the first few big plays we give up against opponents we probably shouldn't give up, we are going to freak out and like, oh my God, this is happening again. But I have some faith because of his track record and because of our talent that we've recruited and because of the second year in the system. That's just logical, y'all. You're going into your second offseason. You should, things should start to come together a little more. So I'm going to buy Jim Knowles stock right now and just pray that I'm right, just based off of everything I just said.
Yeah, you make a lot of sense with that. And I guess probably where I would be at with it is, it is year 2, right? And I think I will not say that he's, I don't think he's a young man, but I would think he is an agile enough thinker that says, okay, my system that I kind of shoved into Ohio State, which was my job to do, but maybe I saw where I shouldn't shove so hard and have to pull that back and tweak it a little bit based off of 1, the competition, and based off of 2, where my player strengths are. I think about Jack Sawyer. The guy just was really a non-factor as a Leo, right? And then he puts his hand in the dirt and has like 2 sacks in sacks in back-to-back weeks as soon as we put his hand back in the dirt again. And then you look at you just think of do we the third safety in the defense? Well, teams are going to be trying to scheme that up like they've always done, but can the third safety even cover the third receiver? That kind of thing. And figuring out ways to get all that to mesh in a way that works. And listen, we're in the age of offensive football. We just are.
Yeah.
So, yes, there are going to be the big plays. I mean, Georgia won national championships back-to-back with a defensive head coach. And you look, what did we do to them? Big play after big play after big play. Big plays aren't going to happen. It's just part of football. So let's reserve judgment till I don't think we also can't say in the first 3 weeks defense is fixed. It's like, well, look who we're playing.
Right.
So this is going to be, sadly, I don't think until it's kind of chilly outside will we have our answers. Maybe by that. I hope let's challenge ourselves, Buckeye Nation. Before the first frost, we'll have our answer with Jim Knowles. How about that?
Yeah. I think that's
all
fair.
Right.
And what, Notre Dame is the end of September, right?
23rd,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll have some inkling again, but they're not exactly offensive powerhouses either. I think they scored like 10 points last year. So we'll try to see as best we can. Brandon,
Yeah,
give them
true.
a nice.
I'll give them some credit.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say I'll give them some credit on the road at Notre Dame. Revenge game for them. They got a pretty good quarterback out of the portal. I'm not saying he's going to be all world and they're going to make the playoffs, but I think I'll give them some credit if they shut that offense down.
I think you would have to, just because of the aforementioned. This is the age of offensive football. You
Yep.
have Division I 4-stars all over that team. If you shut them down with a new offensive coordinator, hopefully improving, they're hoping about in year 2 of a head coach, that is an accomplishment. Certainly, if it's you just make their offense look ugly, another 10 points or less, then I think that is a fantastic day on the gridiron for the Silver Bullets. All right, Brandon, give them all a reminder of where they can find your stuff.
Yes, I have a thriving page on Facebook. A lot of good discussion and interaction. It's Buckeye Sports Talk with B. Moses. Go like and follow. I'm also same name on IG. On Twitter, B. Moses 30. My podcasts are uploaded on the Buckeye Scoop YouTube channel. So go like and subscribe to hear more from me and the Buckeye Scoop family. And those are the platforms that you can find me on.
All right. Well, we appreciate you coming on the show, classing it up a bit. I'm really glad that I got to interview you and not Corey, and not put you through anything that human would try and put you through. So I'm glad, barely. I'm glad it was me and you, and Buckeye fans, show B. Moses some love down in the comments. We want to make sure we get these good guests back on the show as much as possible. And I think that everybody likes hearing nice things about themselves. It's not just our wives. So tell him nice things in the comments so that he can come back and read on the page here, and then we'll have you back on. So thank you for joining us. Thank you, Buckeye Nation, for being back here with us again. As always, goodbye. God bless, and go Bucks.
Go Bucks.